What up, YouTube? Rob Black signing in. Yeah, I got to do this one video on my cell phone. You know, I let my battery, not my battery, I forgot to put a memory card in my camera. So, you know, I want to get this video out. You know, start something a little new. It's called Storytime. You know, so I just want to put some stories out there. You know, some stuff that's happened to me in my past. You know, and some of them might have a little flavor to them, but as I digress, let me begin. Story time. This one's about a incident. Racism still goes on. So I want you guys to see it from my perspective on the experience that I had. Start story off, I was in Wisconsin, actually at Fort McCoy, Army base. I was with my unit, not trying to put in too many names and so forth out there. So my unit, and it was me. Matter of fact, we were running a mission. We run one of the bigger exercises that happened throughout the United States. And so it was, at the time I was a staff sergeant, so it was my one chief. Now pay attention to this. This makes some sense later on. My one chief, who was white. My other chief, who was Puerto Rican. Sergeant first class, who was Ecuadorian. Then you have staff sergeant, me. You know what I am. So as the story unfolds, the one chief actually went to recon the area one time with the one lieutenant colonel. You know, they went out to eat at this one place. He told me about all the steaks. The steaks there were great. The drinks were half price. You know, perfect place to be. You know, so we fast forward to where our group gets on ground. It's nighttime. You know, we have rental cars. We all want to go out. So I'm like, you know what? I think I might be the designated driver tonight because I know how these guys get. So I'm like, sure, you know. So we hop in the car, or we had an SUV, and we start driving. And the chief was like, he's like, yo, I got a spot for you. And if you know me, you know my character. I can care less about color. I'll joke about and talk about hate, love, everybody the same. So if you're Puerto Rican, you're going to get it from me. If you're Chinese, you're going to get it from me. If you're black, you're going to get it from me. And it's all in jest. I can care less. I'm Dave Chappelle type free spirit. You know, so people that are around me know this. So they know what the boundaries are. I really don't have too many unless you mean to insult me intentionally to make a spectacle of me. Then we have a problem. So move forward. So he's like, yo. He's like, hey, Rob, he's like, yo, matter of fact, I found this spot. You know, me and Lieutenant Colonel, we found this spot. It's an awesome spot. He's like, I don't know if you want to go there, you know, because I noticed when I went, there was this big steel door and there was some high-rise trucks. I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever. You know, not thinking anything of McCoy or Wisconsin. But I knew the area was kind of like woodsy, but I didn't know it was really necky. So I'm like, all right, you know, let's go. The other three guys were like, yeah, let's do this. Or two guys, let's do this. So we're driving, you know, driving out away from the base, away from civilization, which it was minimal at that because we're out in the sticks anyway. So we're driving. I'm like, man, it's dark back here. He's like, yeah, make a left here, make a left here. So we make a left down this dark road that leads out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm not thinking anything. I'm like, man, where the hell are we? But so he's like, oh, it's right over here. That's after we passed like a sand quarry on the right. I remember this like it was yesterday, and this happened a few years ago, 2013, I believe. Yeah, 2013. Remember like it was yesterday. So he's like, oh yeah, there's a place over there on the left. All right, we pull in, you know, and I see all. I mean, I grew up in the area, you know, that is known to have undiverse or diverse type, you know, so not to make names or say names of anyone, high-rise trucks and guys that don't really, rednecks, all right, redneck area. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this, be straight up with you guys. I think that's the best thing for me to be because that's how I am. You know, something that's like a little necky, something like, you know, whatever. I've been a lot of places, been in many situations, not thinking anything like that. So here's where the plot thickens. So I'm like, yo, where'd you bring me to? You know, we're joking. He's like, I don't know. You know, as we're pulling up, way in the back, you can see like there's this big bonfire going on, like in the back of this bar. And it must have been like maybe 4 feet worth of wood stacked up, and they got this fire going. I'm like, damn, I've never seen anything like that before. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a different area. So I park the truck. We walk in. And as we walk in, remember in the beginning, I kind of gave you that layout. Chief, Sergeant First Class, me. White, brown, browner, black. So Chief walks in. We're walking in that order, 1, 2, 3, 4. As we're walking in, you walk in through like the inn first before you get to the bar. So as you're walking in, if you look over to your left, there's the eating area, a small little buffet, little tiny buffet. Then up, if you look straight, the bar is right there, and up to your right, the bar circles around to your right, and actually goes to where there's pool tables behind that part of the bar. So we're all walking in, and the establishment, is pretty loud, because you have a large crowd eating. People at the bar, all the locals, everybody's having a good time. And literally, and this is right around, I'll say we got there maybe 9:30-ish. Literally, when they walk through the door, when I walk through the door, silence completely enveloped the room. When I mean silence, I'm like, enough to where if you were in a Panera Bread and you hear all the side chatter and you have to speak louder to talk, imagine if someone flipped the switch to mute. It was that kind of silence. So in my head, I'm like, oh shit, like here we go. But, I'm not going to show any fear. I'm just going to carry on. I've been in this situation before. Give it to my old man. My dad taught me right on how to deal with myself in these situations, because we had my very first situation as a young adult was with him in upstate New York, but that's for another video. So we walk in, we walk straight over to the bar. Everybody watched me walk in. As I could see over to the right, where I had to sit was in front of where the pool tables were at, that side of the bar. Meanwhile, as I'm walking over there's a guy standing there looking right at me, holding a pool stick. When I mean he's mean mugging me, and you can read across his face, what the F are you doing in here? Some of the other guys are still playing pool. He sat there and watched me all the way until I went to go sit down. Crazy thing about it, I had to sit in front of him. So we made slight eye contact, broke my contact, went to sit down. So now I had to sit on an angle. And he sat there. He went to go play a little bit of pool, and he would start staring at me again. No one in my group realized any of this was going on until later on. So I order a beer. I'm completely uncomfortable. So I order a beer, get one beer, drink it down fast, and keep the bottle near me, because my whole thought was, if someone acts out of place, they bought this empty bottle. That's to the level I felt, but not showing any fear. Went to get up. Funny thing happened though. There was a funny part that happened with this. Got up, used the bathroom, came back. Someone took my seat. No problem. As I'm walking back to get the next seat, there was a gentleman sitting over there, and he was like, "Yeah," he's like, "Sit here. It's my wife's seat. It's gonna be funny when she comes up, and sees you in her seat. I know exactly what she's gonna say. She's gonna say, 'Honey, you got to get out of my seat.'" Well, kid you not, I sat down. Guy bought me a beer also. I sat down. I'm like, okay, what am I getting myself into? But I'm happy-go-lucky, so I'll play the game. Sit down. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's this beautiful blonde that's gonna come out." Well, beautiful is not in the eyes of the beholder. She was a blonde, not beautiful. Looks like she smoked a carton of cigarettes a day, but they were very nice. Kid you not, verbatim, she walked out. She said, "Honey, you're a good-looking man, but you got to get the hell out of my seat. I've been there since 12 o'clock noon." Now, mind you, I told you we got there right around 9:30. It's been 12 o'clock noon, So I said, guy bought me a beer, we joked it off. Now, this is what I found out later. My chief said he seen when I sat down, and there was a guy that looked like Cooter that sat on the other side of them. Cooter from the old Dukes of Hazzard, for some of you guys. Now I'm dating myself. He said when I sat down in that seat, The guy that looked like Cooter with the hat on got up and started coming towards me, and one guy grabbed his arm and said no. I found this out afterwards. I would have left if I'd have known that. And the guy sat down. Now this is the intriguing, interesting part. And I always use my military affiliation to get me out of weird little things like this. Shouldn't be like this. So the night went on, ordered a steak. Best steak I ever had. Steak was to die for, literally. As the joke went on when we were talking about this later. I kid you not, I had 4 people approach me with the same question and answer when I was sitting down drinking more beer. And literally the dialogue went like this. They would sit down and they would say, hey, you're from around here. So of course, I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't try to give out too much information. Now, if you want to chat, we could chat. I could talk it up. It's like, so where you from? Like, I'm from Jersey. It's like, well, it's kind of far away, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of far. So what brings you out here? I work on Fort McCoy. He's like, you in the military? I was like, yeah, I'm in the Army. Oh, okay. Hey, you have a good night. Yeah, thank you for your service. Get up with his beer and walk away. I had 3 other gentlemen, separate gentlemen, ask me the same thing. Right around along the same lines. Hey, where you from? I'm from Jersey. Kind of far from Jersey. What brings you out here? Working on Fort McCoy. Are you in the Army? Oh yeah, that's good stuff, man. You have a good day. After that 4th one, I was like, this is out of hand. Completely out of line. Like, that was to the point where I was like, you know what? It was time to go. Now, the crazy thing about it, we talked about this on the ride home. I told my one chick, I was like, yo, we got to get out of here. So we're in the truck, and everybody's completely turned. I'm the only one that had like maybe 2 beers, but my stomach did get fat on steak. And we're talking about it. For some reason, he was like, we could have taken them all. He's like, screw them all. I was like, no, it wasn't that kind of party. I was like, you know what? I didn't let you guys know I felt uncomfortable up until that last moment. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to go. But it wasn't worth the aggravation. But I will turn around and say this. We did frequent that place afterwards. I kid you not, been there we were there for about a month. I've been there at least 10 times afterwards. And it was just that one night that it was like that. After that, no problems whatsoever. Kid you not. But, let me wrap this thing up. It's some time went by, I like telling these stories. Let me wrap this up, but view in next time for another story. If you want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Rob the Black signing out. Peace.